Right. And we'll see if this has any issues whatsoever. This is going to be loud when I first click the button. Probably. It's loud on my end. That's not too bad. Oh god, it's been a while. Okay. So far no drop frames. Let me have a look and see what this is like on here. How it looks. God, my head looks atrocious. Quality-wise is not too bad. Let's see if that changes if I go... If I launch a game and switch over to... If I switch over to... Oh, God. Pick it up. There we go. And it doesn't look too bad when I'm looking at it from a different mode. That's probably fine, right? That'll be fine. That'll be fine. This is very loud on my end. God damn, where's... That's fine. That'll do, that'll do. Okay. Where's the other monitor? I keep calling her monitor. It's actually my goddamn CRT that I got a while back. Right, let me retweet this. Not analytics, I don't want that. I want engagements. I'm assuming... Okay, one product. Nope. Nope. I do not want to copy that. I want to copy this. And then I want to copy that. And I want to post. That seems to be not too bad. And we haven't dropped any frames, which is always a positive. Right, let me see if I can remember how to play this godforsaken video game. At least for the time being, until people start showing up. I can close my stream, because I am confident that this works properly. And if I'm wrong, then I will shut up immediately. Okay. Oh my god, every time. Right. Monster, it's been a hot minute. And this is Hazard. This was the new sound pack added with the last content update, I believe. This is not a good position. Especially when I do that. That was so bad. That was so bad. I was like, oh, I've got time to do this. I'm like, no, I do not. I have ruined myself in terms of like... I'm not going to spoil too much. All I'm going to say is some of the changes I've made, it just feels very slow. I will say that. But I will show that off later. That will be shown off later on tonight. Give it a minute. Before people show up. It started at 2. Oh, right. God damn it. Also, how is the stream quality? Actually, I did not check my levels. Oh my god. I did not realize that the game audio was that loud in comparison to everything else. It's because I changed. That would do it. It's because I forgot I changed the game volume levels in general. It's louder than it normally is. I need to lower that a bit more. Sorry. That should be a bit better, hopefully. You can tell it's been a while since I've done this. Holy... And my pace is now so bad. Like, I'm trying to... Game audio could be a tad bit higher. Damn. I was looking at my mixer and I'm thinking to myself that this seemed that it was already too high. Unless I've gone too far in the other direction, I don't know, but I've got time. I do not have time. Fuck. Damn. You know what? That's fine. I've gotten accustomed to my own game changes. I think that's what's the issue here. That's the issue here. Okay. It is 2 o'clock. I think we will close that for now, and instead I shall bring up I'm assuming this playlist still works. Thor, I love your music. I just wish it was as volume. Well, the thing is, like, I have work on Sunday morning at 6 o'clock, so that means even though I'm off tomorrow, it means I don't really have. I've probably got other commitments with friends up until like 11, at which point I need to be heading off to make sure I don't die at work. So this is the only time I realistically have to showcase this off at a reasonable time. So that's the logic behind this stream. It's not ideal, but it's what we've got. Right, how do I open... it's F5, isn't it? No, yes, it is, and then I have to do it in windowed, because it doesn't work any other way. So... Can I really not do this in full screen? This is so stupid. How big of a screen can I make this without... The answer is none. I have to do this in this window. That's so stupid. It's not what I wanted. It's not how I wanted to do this, but this is what is happening. So, to kick things off, what I will do is explain how we got here. So, a while back, I was wondering, always had to wonder, how fast you could play this game. And this was back when I had, like, my PB was like 227. This would have been before the last big grind I did to break the 220 barrier. So I was looking into things like, okay, what can we do? How can we make like a tool-assisted run of some description? You could always... There's lots of tools about... I'm not familiar how to use TASLib or anything like that. So I was like, oh, try Hourglass, and Hourglass just doesn't work. It hasn't worked for God knows how long. So like, okay, well, how about why don't we just slow the game down? And that doesn't work. At least by default, the game logic will still work as not intended. The particles don't. The particles are still tied to the frame rate, so you'll have like slow-mo explosions. But there's no real way of doing it that way. So that was the main reason why I wanted to do that. But then at the same time, I was like, in my mind, I wanted to try and do another event of some description. I always had some reservations. I think I mentioned them way back then. The idea of like completely random seeds for block generation meant that there wasn't going to be like an even playing field, regardless of even with that. Especially when it comes to like speed as well. You really do want to have like even like equal, what's the word? I'm losing my mind now. You do want like an equal like piece lineup to get there, to make it a level competitive thing. So there were some reservations about that. And then I remembered that a while way back when this game first came out on publicly, there was someone in the Discord, I can't remember who it was, but they were, excuse me, they were actually modifying the game in some way to add like a fifth color and stuff like that. And I'm like, wait, surely we can just do that. Now, newer versions of the game, I think, yeah, that was when 5 colors first came to be. I think if you do a Discord search for like all the way back in 2020, 2021-ish, you may come up with something across there. For the record, 5 colors is not fun. From my experience playing when I added it to Mixolumia, it was not fun. It was not fun at all. It is very frustrating to deal with. So yeah. So after that, I was like, so how do we go about modifying this? So newer versions of the game and I believe Dave mentioned this, the troubles that they experienced when they were switching over game engines. It was a nightmare for them. But newer versions of the game are encoded differently, which makes them essentially unmodifiable, which is good for the integrity of the leaderboards. And we can't mess around with it that much. Older versions of the game, however, are encoded differently, in the sense that all the code is stored in the game's data file rather than the executable. And the Undertale players, I've known that for a long time. So they came up with a tool originally named Undertale Modding Tool, which allows you to modify Undertale's things, but also in general, just general Game Maker files encoded in a certain way, without the encoding this thing. So the way that, ooh, did I drops there? That should be fine. So that was where this went, and it has led up to what you've seen on Discord throughout the last month or so on Discord, as well as on Twitter as well. So Oh yeah, absolutely. Why is it only showing part on my thing? I don't know. You'll have to bear with the thing. If I stretch this out any larger, it starts to break. It starts to break, as you can see. So this is what we are. This is the scuff listed up. Oh my god. This is what I'm working with today. It is Mixolumia 2 Ultimate Edition. So the way this is gonna have to be in order to explain some. Oh, what? Where am I? Where am I? Why is the fucking? Why is the background to? Yeah, shout out to Open Office. Hold up, hang tight. I don't know why it was down there. So for the first explanation, I'm gonna have to go into some of the behind the scenes logic that goes on things like how pieces are generated and the like. If you enjoy the whimsy of not knowing, this presentation might not be for you, but in order to probably understand what I've gone through for over the last month and a bit, then this is the best way I can think of to explain it. So some of the goals of for this project were to make the game seedable, so that the RNG is predictable enough that it can be seeded. Also, in order to change how game logic is calculated, so that it can be tracked accurately within a 60 FPS time frame. We'll get into like some of the weird stuff that the base game does later on. With all above everything above all is to make sure that the leaderboards in the main game do not get affected under any circumstances. That's the big thing that I knew going into this, especially when it comes to like tasks and stuff. You don't want those scores on the main leaderboards. I'm gonna make my head bigger for this miniature thing. Hold up. Can I make, how big is my head? I can do it a little bit smaller. That's fine. And then I've also gone ahead and added some extra like visual stuff as well, which you'll have noticed in some of the clips as well. But we can go in depth later on when I go into the actual showcase of the game itself. So, seeded RNG. How does it work in Mixolumia? So the easiest way to think of this is like Tetris, specifically guideline Tetris, right? In Tetris, you have what's called a 7-bag randomizer, in which you'll get one of each Tetramino before it eventually repeats itself. So it prevents like major droughts of like long bars or stuff like that, similar to like NES Tetris. It's like the most you'll go without a long bar is like 13 pieces, I think is yeah, it's about 12, 13 pieces. Mixolumia has a 12-bag randomizer, so you'll get 3 of each color block in your Tetras within the next 3 Tetras, and then it will restock, essentially. So you'll always have at least add like 3 of each block at a time, and if you can keep track of it, it's not too bad, but sometimes it's not that easy to do. I think the reason... Yeah, I think that might be the main reason they've made it the way that they did. Was just because to remove the chance of any sort of 4-block Tetras being created. Incidentally, the logic in Pico works a little differently, in the sense that it could potentially create... I think the raw version of Piccolumia could, in theory, make a 4-block foot, but I don't think it ever occurred at all during my testing of vanilla. There might be some other failsafes that I didn't notice that Andrew added in, but I'm not 100% certain. So yeah, that's the basics. So the way it works in vanilla, when the game is first launched, you have what's called the block deck, which is your 12-block, essentially deck, and it's generated in a sequential order as is shown on the screen. And then you also have your block queue, which is your active block sequence, what's being generated for the game. the way it works is when that block queue is emptied by generating 3 tetras, it shuffles the block deck into a random order and then adds whatever that order is to the queue. That's how it works. So the issue here is that RNG is randomized each time the deck is shuffled. I should probably explain that first. GameMaker has its own way of determining RNG. And it has its own RNG seed to go along with it. If you do not define that seed, it will just, every time you do like a random thing, like shuffle a list of objects or stuff like that. Hey, doggy, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. It has been far too long since being on here. But yeah, so if you do not define that seed, it generates a new random seed for that next action, which means as vanilla is completely random in the sense that it cannot be determined what it's going to do. And the second issue is that the deck and the queue aren't reset between games. So that deck order is going to be the same for the next throughout multiple games. As well as the queue doesn't get refreshed as well. You can see that in the GIF that I've got on here. It's also posted in the bugs as well, in bugs thread in the Discord as well. You can see when I've paused and restart the game. Whatever's in the previous queue, it becomes the starting block for the next game. I wasn't too sure whether or not that was in vanilla when I posted it. I did check in the most recent version, that is still the case. So you can still manipulate your starting block a little bit. I don't think it matters too much in the grand scheme of things. You get a better starting block. But I don't think that's necessary. Also should be noted, the level in there shows how many blocks are in the queue. And also is something I changed for the demonstrative purposes. And I still to this day, don't understand why changing something in this draw bit causes the main menu to bug out the way it does. I still don't know, but that has been fixed, and I will go over that. So yeah, those were the 2 issues going into it. You need to make sure that you reset the deck and you define the seed, and that's what we did. We have added 2 different variables, which is RNG seed, which is what we use in game. And then you have a player seed, which is the user-defined seed number that you set in the options menu. And then on game start, you set whatever the seed is. If it's a fixed seed, use whatever the player said. And if it's a random, we choose a random number between 0 and 9. It's 99 million, I think there's the thing. It's 8 digits because that seems reasonable. I think the number of different permutations is like 490 something million. So you use a third of all possible permutations, but at the same time, I think it's just more for user convenience, I feel. So I think 8 numbers is a little bit easier to deal with than 9. And then we make it so that the queues, actually, it's more consistent towards the end of it. That's the bigger issue. So on game start now, rather than an executable, you reset the block deck to whatever the starting position, which is what is on there, and then you reset the block queue, so it has at least something in it. I found out if there's nothing in the block queue whatsoever, the game doesn't know what to draw in the next box, and the game breaks. So we make it so that the block queue has the 4 starting tetras, which I thought would be appropriate because it's the logo that we use on the Discord. It's what Dave uses in some of their projects, the most recent, like in the golf game for this little thing. The golf game also uses the tetrad for their logo. So I thought it would be appropriate just to use it that way. I always liked when I was doing playtesting a while ago for Pico, having that 4 blocks, because it means you could actually play whatever, the vast majority of like starting blocks that show up afterwards. So that was the other decision behind it. And whenever, so, and then the next thing is, of course, on a new Tetra, or the empty, or when it comes to the start of the game, or whenever the queue is emptied, you define that seed, which you can do with, because there's a variable for it, which is random set seed. And then you shuffle it, because as long as you define it beforehand, it will always shuffle it out, shuffle using that seed. Now the only problem with it is that it's semi-random. It can be deterministic. It means that when deck is shuffled the exact same way every time, which can be a bit problematic. I have noticed a couple of games where certain piece where I recognize a couple of piece sequences that show up, which has been very funny. It's only been a couple of times though. It's not been majorly noticeable. But this is the thing about like seedable RNG. It's like it's got to be semi-random by nature, right? It has to be in a way that the computer itself can predict it, but random enough so as mortal plebs don't understand what's going on. And we get halfway there. I think for the most part it works out fine. There's only been a couple of instances, like I say, that it's not worked out the way it intended, but I think it still does the job infinitely better than I would have expected. So that's the first step. That's how we made the RNG seedable, and I'll show in the menus how it works. Game logic. Vanilla is tracked in real time using delta time, which is a game maker function that tracks the time between frames to the nanosecond. So obviously, this is useful for game development to make sure that if computers aren't like, if there's many frame drops or anything like that, the game's logic can still work properly throughout. It's very standard practice from a lot of games. But the cons in that, obviously, any fluctuations in those frame times will make the readings look a little weird. And then there's the weirdest thing. If there were any processes that use that time and then causes it to work out in something like half a frame, which does exist, and and it made a lot more sense after I found them. It causes further, I say them, there's one thing that's like that works out to half a frame. Yeah. When I found that out, I'll explain it, because it does we do alter it a little bit. It made these times make infinite more sense. These times where it's like 0.4 seconds or 0.12 seconds between. It's like you look at it and you think, how the hell does that work? And then when I found what I did, I'm like, okay, that makes a little more sense to a degree. But yeah, it's still a bit weird when you find that out. So what we did is we just changed it so that instead of whatever the time spits out, we just make it 1/60th, so like 0.016 recurring, and then that's really about it. There's nothing crazy to it. So now time increases in equal amounts. I think did notice before that there is some points where it shows like 60 instead of like a full second, which I'm not too sure how to fix up. I'll figure that out. And any half frame get rounded up to a degree. We'll get over to a degree. I say it to a degree. What it's doing will do is like it will do the one in particular. Let me start again. The process I'm thinking of in particular is when blocks move during a cascade. The math behind it works out so that the blocks fall every 7.5 frames. So in real time, it works it out, and it will always show up at 8 frames and then 7, sort of thing. In this, it will work out, drop every 8 frames, and then 8, then 7, 8, 7, 8, 7. So that it averages out to be 7.5. But obviously, the bigger issue here is that when you can now cheese the game by forcing a lower frame rate. And if you notice in the GIF, that is playing at real time, but I've set the frame rate to 20 FPS. So that you can use that for tasks. Absolutely. I think that's a great use case of it. You can plan out a route if you know the P sequence for a certain seed. And then you can slow the game down to 20 FPS and record your game that way, and then speed it up in post, I guess. But obviously, when it comes to competition, we need a little more verification, which is why I've added the FPS display counter in the game, so that we can verify that they're playing at the actual speed. Leaderboards. This is the big one. Basically, the main issue is not that the game can boot into Steam and that, because in theory, it shouldn't be possible in the first place. The biggest issue, of course, is what happens if you set a high score, save the score, and then you load that profile up in the main branch. That automatically gets uploaded. That will automatically get updated on the leaderboards, because there is a failsafe in place in case you have a connection issue and you need to reload the game, and you need to reconnect and reload the game. There's a failsafe in place to do that, which is great. Not for us. So what I've done, I've removed any and all method of saving the game to a save file. So you should, in theory, should not be able to upload high scores in any capacity. There are variables in the game that will track local, like session high scores, which is why most of the leaderboard things say session best rather than my high score. But those in theory, should not get uploaded to the high score leaderboards. Hopefully, I need to do some final testing on that, preferably on a blank account, which can get removed safely or just have super low scores on and just get disregarded completely if something does go wrong. But hopefully that should be enough. If there needs to be anything else done, I will do that. As of right now, there is no saving to a high score, and you'll lead up to a save file, and you'd have to take screenshots or videos for proof of your high scores on this patch. If there's a way of getting save data working again in the future, I'll look into it, but this is by far and away the safest way of making sure nothing happens. But again, I'll need a double test to make sure that is all I need to do, because I'd rather not find out the hard way before I release anything publicly. Oh, and that was it. Yeah, that's the end of the presentation. Obviously, we got to go over the visual stuff. My head is far too big for this goddamn camera. Auto frame, chill, please. So, shall we take a look in game? Hey, how's it going, Glitch? How's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. I haven't been down in Seaton in ages, but I haven't last I went, the cab had not been updated, so I haven't been down there since. I do need to take a trip down at some point to see if that has been updated or not. I'm not liking my odds, though, since the last time I spoke with the it wasn't the tech guy, it was one of the other guys, but they were sympathetic and they didn't understand it either. So hopefully next time I go down there, there will be free 3 months worth of updates to play. And if not, I'm just not going back there again. I think that's entirely reasonable. If they don't want to care about that SMX cab, then I don't either. So that's the situation with that. But I will be making a trip down at some point later on. Maybe not this week, but next week for sure. Yeah. Oh, you went to Hollywood Bowl. Jesus Christ. No, I wouldn't have. No, I'm not. I'm not inclined to pay a pound per song. To be honest, make it two at least, and then I'll consider it. But no, I wouldn't be doing that myself. And even then, they've just added the Ace 20 Plus cab over at Yumi, so just rekindled the drive to actually play that game again. So I think I'd stick for that for the most part, and then I'll eventually stop down at Seaton and see what they're like. But I'm not liking my odds. Okay. So, photosensitivity warning, still the same. This is new. I reckon this needs to be done to make sure it's obvious that it's... Make it more obvious that this is a modification, and if I bunch my thing down... Oh my god. Can this move, please? We do have a change on the top there, so it shows TE... It's currently... I call it a beta. There's not much change. Yeah. I didn't... It needed to be obvious that it was there. Also, I love the old versions of the game. Yeah, nice to see you around, man. It's been a while. I'll catch you around, man. I like the old versions of Mixolumia because it means I can tab out and, you know, the screen doesn't go black. I don't know what happened. I don't know what major changes happened for Game Maker to stop doing that. So, do you remember when you had to, select your profile every time you had to make a thing? Yeah. We'll just make a new profile. In theory, you can load your current profile, but obviously nothing gets saved. And also it messes with the config, so your stuff will get reset between this and main branch. So you'll notice maybe your controls will change, or your visual effects may be reset as well, because there's a few extra things that got added between this and current version. So bear that in mind. Load up your current profile at your own risk, and be prepared to change some stuff over as it happens. To existing player name. That's a new one. How about 2? You can do 2. Okay, that's fine. So, let's go over settings first. This is about the same. Just be aware that the Oh, I can't demonstrate this. Yeah, absolutely. I happen to figure out a way of like blocking like profile because there's no version number variables at all in like either save data or config. So it's a bit difficult to do it. It would have to be something that Dave implements on their end, but that's beyond the scope of that. So you can load up your profile. Just be prepared to reset some things afterwards. What I was gonna say is like this is about the same. This was before the change to only affects a window. So let me make sure I can do this in how far back. Okay, so I can go from there. Okay, so obviously it's full screen change rather than what it was before. So bear that in mind. Don't blind yourself. Gameplay is the main focus of this. Drop preview is the same. You have your next block as normal, which you can change. Timer style. By default, the precision time, milliseconds is your standard precision timer that's in the game, but you can also change that to display the frame count as well. It's up into upwards of 60. That's different. You cannot disable the precision timer that is on by default. This is for competition. We need those frames. RNG type, as I was saying before, you have either your random seed or you have your fixed seed. And over here, you have your RNG seed, which you can change using... Oh, ignore that for now. Using left and right. And then you can use your select button to move up and down. Fun fact, this is just a modifier. This is just this, but is displays as a number instead. So what you're doing here is like, this is like, goes all the way up to the highest one, and then goes down to the lowest. And then you're just choosing the magnitude of how far you're moving that slider across. If this was a graphical slider, it would take an eternity to move. Okay, so... let's make it funny. And then practice level. So marathon is now practice. So, and you can choose any level all the way up to the max at the minute, which is level 65. And that also includes any sort of like speed changes along the way as well. Obviously, if you set it below 15, it will play like a traditional marathon. It still tracks how many blocks you played and changes level that way. Set it to 30 for now. So yeah, that's one of the game mode changes. I'll spoil that now. Move speed. As you can see, I've changed it so that it actually shows you like the frequency at which the auto shift happens, which is standard is 12, slick is 15, reckless is 20, which is every 3 frames. So if you've played Melee Fox, you will be absolutely fine. But as you can see at the top, I've added a couple of other options as well. We can go Inhuman, which is 30 frames, so that's once every 2 frames. And then we just full send. We just full send it at that point. There is no delay whatsoever. It moves every frame. Even I can't fully like, this is not playable. It's not playable at all. Trust me, I have tried. You have to, if you want to try and release it at like a specific frame, it just doesn't happen. This is somewhat doable in certain modes, but not completely. And then we go to effects. Board shake is the same. Bloom is the same. But as you can see, you'll see already, particles are now a slider. So instead of toggling them on or off completely, you can now choose to have a middle ground. Specifically, this affects the clear particle effects rather than any sort of like combo or like other effects that go on. But obviously, if you set it to 0, everything gets turned off immediately. If you do it a couple of steps up, it will essentially keep them off unless it's like a big combo display, but you'll still have your background effects on as well, if you prefer to have at least something. It doesn't disable them outright. I personally prefer to go about 60%, because I think some of it towards the end is a bit too much. And then, of course, you've got flashing as well. I think there's a few things, like I say, from like vanilla that aren't here, like the border colors that expand and stuff like that. Obviously, they were added during the Switch release. Those aren't here, unfortunately. Scores and stats about the same. Obviously, any new scores you save on this on a different profile, I'm going to update, as are your current ones. But yeah, there's a couple of variables also changed here for the sake of thingy, but we'll get to that. So you'll see there's a symbol missing from here, and that's because impossible is not here. There was a couple of reasons for that. The main one being that this was before the fix that made it so your currently active Tetra was still visible. I haven't figured, quite frankly, I haven't had time to look into how to make that function. So I was like, I'd rather have in order for, in a competitive setting, I'd rather it be like equivalent to what's currently there. Everything else mechanically is exactly the same as it was when it first released. So everything else made sense to keep. So practice, as we've seen. Relaxed is about the same. And intense is the same as well. So those two modes are the same. They haven't been changed at all. Relaxed. I don't even know what to do about relaxed. I should also show over here. Show here as well. You got the RNG type there. If I go back in here and set it to a fixed, and go back in, you'll see that our seed now shows up. So that's always a nice little touch. It's also good for verifying before they go into game, before players go into the game mode, that the seeds match up and all the rest of it. That's always a nice little touch to have. So yeah, there was, I think we can talk, and obviously we've shown off endless mode, which now includes the quote-unquote impossible levels, as well as levels beyond that, which get even more ridiculous. And as for that last one, remember how I was talking about the drop timer a little while ago? That timer which was causing half-frame logic inputs. Yeah, there was I was messing around a while back, and I was like, what happens if I just set this to 0? What happens if we set this as fast as it could possibly go? Yep. We go pro. Welcome to Pro Rush. That is a new game mode. It is Rush, but even faster. There we go. You know what? That doesn't surprise me one bit. That's like a rip bitrate kind of moment. I'll have that posted on Twitter later on. I'm pretty sure I did not mess up and render it longer than 220. Yes, it's basically I made it so that when you set a piece down, all the things go like immediately. It's not pure immediately, it's basically all the logic works out in a frame. There's no in a frame, and it gets to the thing. Now the slowdown, the game does slow back down for the last second. Obviously I wasn't able to show that. But trust me, the game, it does reset back down to normal speed towards, like, within the last second, so that your last cascade can play out in, like, regular speed. But that only happens, like I say, if there's 1 second left to go. All of your sound packs work with it, including this lovely one, Legend. And we can also do this to show off some of the other things. Oh yeah! That's new. We now have a countdown time at the start of the game. That was something I wanted to add a while ago. Yeah, that countdown's for the frame, and you can time, like, your first input. You also have it now playing, so it shows whatever sound pack you're currently playing at the start of the game. I haven't really fixed that up yet. If I do this and then this, the notifications still stack a little bit. So that's something to bear in mind. This is not the best time to be demonstrating the clear notifications, but you can see how many blocks you cleared in that instance, plus how many points you scored for that instance as well. That's a new addition. You also have your speedometers, which is your active one, as well as your average throughout the course of an entire game. Used to be drops per second, it is now drops per minute. I just thought it looked a little cleaner than worrying about decimals. I do love this sound pack. It's also surprising how well these kind of sound packs work in terms of, like, stacking sound effects. Because obviously when people design the sounds, they're not intending for the sound effects to be played at this speed, not at all. So this just goes to show the versatility in some of these packs. But yeah, that's, I think, the other thing as well. So obviously we've messed around with some drop speeds on that. And now those effects carry over to Endless. Now, Endless has gone through a couple more changes since the video. Like I say, the drop time is the big one. So the way it works is that your standard levels and your impossible levels still play out as normal. Then your extra ones, as shown in the video, after level 32, the delay goes to 12 frames. There'll be 12 frame delay before your piece starts falling. And that decreases a frame every 3 levels, all the way up to level 45. At that point, we increase the speed at which that clear delay and that drop timer is by about, depending on the level. So it starts up with 15 at 45, all the way up to 45, and then it drops by 0.75 per level. So you'll still have those subframes again. So by the time you get to level 50, there's about 11 and a quarter frames after you clear a block before the rest of it cascades based on that impossible timer, because the possible speeds also determine the time, the delay as well, just to add to everything. So by the time you get into level 60, which is what we've first clearing past the ultra levels, it's a 3 frame delay before it drops. There's about less than half a frame between blocks, which means it's like every two frames or so it will cascade. And it's about the same, and there's 3 frames after clearing. By the time you get to level 65, there's 1 frame before it drops, giving you time to buffer either direction, but that's all you get. And then there's 0.125, there's an 1/8 of a frame between blocks, which means it's going to be cascading every frame except for after the 9th frame where it does 2. And there's no delay whatsoever when it comes after a clear. I'll be posting I have an image here of the Bro, can you get off my screen? Jesus. This is the image that I compiled of the levels. You have your standards, and then goes all the way down to the max, which for some reason will not be shown on there. There we go. I don't know why my desktop overlay is like this. But yeah, that's the speed progression. I might get that plotted off as a graph, I don't know. That's the speed progression as it currently stands, and I have no intention of changing it after that. Playing level 65 is pain enough. So, yeah, that's for the. I think I've only passed it once, and I still don't know how. Let me try it. I would recommend, if you're playing with audio of some description, to play it. The sound packs I've worked on found work best for Endless, because the other thing as well that was demonstrated in the video is that the pitch increases as the game goes on, which means your speed, the tempo of the moves increases as well. Slow BPM tracks, sound packs that are low pitch in general, work well. Dissolve is very good in terms of like the default packs. There's a couple others as well. I think Deep Dive is all right. Polaris can be a bit hit or miss, but it's still. I forgot this one existed, to be honest, and then I recognized the name. It's like, oh god, it was them. But the one I've been going to the most, actually, Freefall might not be. Freefall, I think, works out as well. Freefall and Electric Serenity work fairly well. The one I've been going to the most is Guitar Noodling, because it's fairly minimalistic. And that's what we'll be going for here. Now, game starts at level 9. This is definitely meant to be like akin to like NES, competitive NES Tetris, in that the starting level is... What's the word I'm looking for? It's meant to start at like a decent speed and then ramp up from there. I'm open to suggestions. I'm tempted to bump it back up to like 14, so that just before the impossible difficulty starts up. But I'm definitely open to a second opinion on that. The reason I picked 9 was because it's like 10 times the normal score. And you can kind of roughly calculate like the potential max based on that. Like if you think about like the highest, like the high score for Intense right now is like somewhere like 14 mil or something. If I recall, it's 13 or 14 mil. So that kind of gives you like what kind of the trajectory of what scores people could potentially set in this mode, because you've got 14 million on here. My best and impossible is like 13 mil, but that can definitely be improved, be theoretically higher. And then you've got the unknown, which is all the way up at the beyond the levels, which in theory could score upwards of like upwards of like 20-odd million or so. My best before the last changes I made was like 27 mil. But that was before the last couple of like speed changes that I made to it. So, as for what the game could be in this state, I'm not 100% sure. But I'm very eager to see what people can get with the settings we have on here. I think during my playtesting as well, I only just realized that a lot of these packs I've been playing for speed, so I haven't properly heard all of like the all of the sounds that actually come from each pack. It's kind of like a weird experience just listening to all these properly. The other thing, actually, you get like a little pace notes with at each like major milestone in the levels. It shows it up in the bottom. Be good to like see what kind of how well you're doing compared to like your best or something like that. That's the other major. That's the last major like visual change that I've added. But yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to shoot them. Yeah, a lot of it's figuring out what's going on and seeing what I can and can't do. Because there's a few things that I've came across while doing this that I've been like, why am I not allowed to do this? Like, why can't I change this or that? Why does this function hate me? That kind of deal. See, because one of the things I would do is, if I could, was make like solid drop like being an option throughout the game, and I can't do that because I can't touch that function for whatever reason. The same goes for the music select screen. I can't change that either, which made adding the now playing notification a nightmare. Trying to figure out alternate ways of doing that. It's been a lot of trial and error and problem solving, but I'm happy with where this is at the minute, and hopefully, once we've got confirmed this is the bit I'm talking about before. I had no idea this part existed until playtesting for this. God damn. Dev did some good work for this. I lost my train of thought though. God damn it. I will try and remember where we're going with this. Where I was going with this. Oh, here we go. But yes, it's situations like that are like wondering why I can't do things is just been the main like time sink really. But I think overall it's gone much better than I thought it was. Yeah. Yeah, I had to make it known that you are going beyond what the game was capable of doing. I love that. I love the idea of the game slowly breaking as you try and play it. It's why TGM, once you've gone past level, gotten to Grandmaster status, the game's just like, okay, max level is the maximum integer value you can have. We've got nothing else for you. Go away, kind of deal. I may tweak the sound a little bit, because I noticed there's been some points where the audio can be and also it depends on the pack as well. Certain packs may be a bit too much in terms of like pitch shifting. But I will consult people for that. Yeah, the speed is getting a little bit crazier now. I have not played a proper game all the way up to 65 since the new changes, either. Just as a heads up, I'm probably tapping out about 50-ish. Alright, this is when the clear delay starts going down. Ooh, wasn't expecting that. Luckily, you can rotate the piece up to like 12 times before it locks, so you can stall it a little bit that way. That's something I can't change, so you can have that for free. I'm amazed I can get that over there still, actually. Help. Send help. I don't think it's... Yep. God damn it. I did say about 50, right? God damn. Oh, are we good? Are we good? Hello? Are we good? Are we back? Are we back? Oh, okay, we're back. I don't know what I don't know what happened there. I'm looking at my thing. It's still fine. But yeah, if you want, as I was trying to say before, top bit says what your whether it's a fixed or random seed, as well as the seed number, even if it's random. So you can just, if you want to run a, I will say my Twitch chat thing has decided it doesn't want to work on my thing, so I'm having to rely on thing. Yeah, I must have temporarily dropped because I'm getting Steam notifications again. Hold up, let me re-thingy. Steam collection notes. Nope. It is Twitch chat is what I'm looking for. Okay, Twitch chat is just completely balked on my thing. You'd love to see it. Can I just view? Chat. I'll just view chat that way. That should work. There we go. So yeah, if you want to grab the seed and try and work it out, try and work something out that way, then you can do it. Then you can do it. But yeah, that's the main reason. That's just also just for verifying purposes towards the end of a thing as well. That always helps. Let's have a look at the end game screen. Obviously, you'll have your score visible. That hasn't changed, but also we've adjusted the layout of it so that it actually shows a lot more stuff that you can verify. Largest clear size, that used to be the overall clear size of a combo. That's now just the individual size. So you can see, so I think the largest I've had on during this session is like 22 when I've been doing playtesting. I think the largest clear I've ever had was like a 25, 26, and that was that combo, the 7mm one from way back, which was ridiculous. Yeah, we got the average clear size. That can usually be a good indicator of how well you've been scoring. If you have a lot of like 5 or 6 clears and stuff like that, your average will go up. In general, I've been averaging, if I'm playing for score, I'm getting about 4.5, 4.6. If I'm playing mainly survival or speed, it gets generally lower. Especially when it comes to endless games towards the tail end, it's going to primarily be lower as a result. You have your largest clear score, which again is individual clear. And then you got your combo score, which I think is about the same as it normally is. And then you got your average drops per minute, which can go high, depending on whether or not you're deliberately playing for speed or if you're just being forced to, essentially. You can see in Blitz, thanks to how quickly the clear animation goes, your average drops a minute can become very high as a result. And I can clear that off, no problem. And there you go. You can actually see your session. There's the session best on the right. Obviously, that used to be the only stat there, and it was central. We've moved that to the left. so we can have the seed type on the right as well. Yeah, that's just about it. There is something that I have kept in there, but I'm not going to speak on that for now. Just because impossible isn't there, just doesn't mean that the game mode itself isn't available. You might be able to take a guess of what I've done with that as well. But for now, I will leave that as is. Is there any... I don't know if there was any... Was there any questions that anybody had to ask about the, when it comes to the production? I'm just having a look through... Oh, I had to go down a couple of times. Jesus, I did not realize. I did not realize it was buffering multiple times. I will have to take a look in some of my network settings, I think, because it's, that's a little concerning. First stream back and get a couple of fucking drops, but it's fine. Anyway, there's a tidy up before release. Again, I need to double check, make sure with absolute certainty that leaderboards won't get affected. There's probably a couple of visual things that I need to tweak on. Primarily this, if I go all the way to the right, this might not show up on stream because it's 30 as opposed to 60. If I move again, it will flick, because of the way I've set it up, it flicks down another step and then jumps straight back up to the top. I probably need to fix that up. It's a little crude, to be perfectly honest. I think I mentioned the timer as well. Sometimes it will say 60 instead of 0. So that will look very funny if someone gets a time to the frame. So I need to work that out. I think it also messes with millisecond timing as well, because I think the milliseconds read up as like 0.999 instead of being rounded up to zeros. And then I think there's one other visual thing as well with regards to the real-time speedometer at the start of a game, because it becomes undefined for like a brief instant. So it reads, the string reads as undefined and flickers back to 0 for our frame. Just a couple of visual things to fix up. But the primarily thing above all else is make sure that we definitely aren't going to screw over leaderboards. That's the big thing. But I do hope to get that done and have some kind of test out within the next couple of weeks. Pink 3 was fine from the get-go. I think they've set that up specifically to make sure there wasn't any 4 blocks whatsoever. I think when I mentioned modding the game a while back, I think I was wanted to see if I could put in Mixolumia's style of RNG, which, if you don't know, is essentially a random, is an actual, like, generates a number, and then that number corresponds to a block. There's a couple of other fail-safes to make sure that there's there's a bit of variance, but ultimately it still works out fairly well. But then when I saw there was just bag-style RNG, it's like, okay, we'll just leave it as is. We don't need to play too much about it. And in the end of the day, I think it works a lot better to keep the core gameplay experience as vanilla as possible without going, while still making the adjustments that I did. Because like I said, I feel like having that all 4 blocks to start off with, and then playing off what you get off the next box is a bit more intuitive than just, you know, hoping for good spawning blocks off the bat, which makes it a little bit more consistent, I feel. In case you ask, no, I'm not adding a 5th color. You get the hell out of here. That is not happening. I'm not doing that. I'm not going down that rabbit hole. You cannot make me. You cannot make me do that. Yeah, I hope to have some kind of test in some shape or another within the next couple of weeks. Preferably in a tournament setting. Although I will say I'm not liking my odds of my network if 2 disconnects is the state of play. But I will be looking into potentially getting something sorted out. Hopefully early September-ish. Maybe. I haven't figured out rules yet. It will be score-based. I would love to do more time attack stuff, but I don't know how many people are active in the community now. It has been quite a while since anything has happened majorly, aside from the Steam release, the Switch release. And also there's going to be an accessibility issue potentially as well. Because that's the other thing is that I never mentioned. This is running on 1.2.5. This was the last moddable version of the game, because this was when they went back the old engine, when there was some issues with... When people started reporting issues, when they switched engines, they were like, okay, we need to go back. And that was the last version that is modifiable, because it was compiled in that specific way. So, in order to do that, it's 1.2.5, it is the itch version only. I've tested this on... I've tested the patch on current version, definitely doesn't work. And I also took the steps needed to try to grab the old version of the Steam equivalent. That also doesn't work. Thank God. There was another issue with that, of course, which I'm not going to get into here. And it might be something that Dave needs to consider at some point to try and, like, beef up, like, the leaderboard security, potentially. I don't know much about how Steam leaderboards work or what fail-safes can be put in place. But as of right now, but I will leave that to them to worry about. As far as I'm concerned, as long as I don't mess anything up, I'm off the hook. And that's fine. So this is only on 1.2.5, the itch version. So you would need... So in order to get that, you need the itch launcher. Might as well show this off now, actually. That's way too far off the screen. Right. That's connected 2 weeks ago. I've not got anything insensitive on here. Very good. Yeah, in the itch launcher, if I go into my library, you'll see I've got Mixolumia installed. It takes you back to the itch page on there. If you have... like I say, if you've got the itch version, there's multiple ways you would... You go into your cog, you can manage your install once you've installed it via the itch app, and then you can switch to a different version, which is what... And I think it is version 20... No, it's version 24 from back the 6th of December, I believe is what the one on there, which I think corresponds to... Where is it? Yeah. 6th of December, like the last version 24 is the version you want. And then once you've downloaded that version, you stick that anywhere else, because most cases, more often than not, it will try and re-update it back to the current version. And if you patch it and launch the itch app, it will remove the patch. So you do have to bear that in mind. Once you've downloaded it, stick it somewhere else that's not good, where it's not going to get modified afterwards. This is the, as far as I'm aware, this is the only way of getting older versions of games. I could go even further back. I could grab the version, the very first version from May. Let's actually do that. I want to see what version 1 of this was. Oh, this is very funny. But yeah. Let's actually see what this was like way back. But yeah, that's the itch app is the only way to get like older versions of itch games. There's a desktop way of doing it. So we might have an accessibility issue along the way. Luckily, it was given away during one of the itch Giga bundles, like I think it was the Palestinian Aid one from 2021, not to be confused with the Palestinian Aid bundle from 2023, because we never learn. God, why do we never learn? So yeah, some people would have gotten it from that. Oh god, it goes straight to full screen. Oh my god. Oh good lord. For the record, yeah, that's the presentation done, by the way. That is essentially the presentation. I want to see what I've never played the original version of the game. This is going to be very silly. There is no audio at the minute. Oh, I've got to hold it. Oh my god. 900 was... It used to be 900? Oh my god. Alright. Do we have settings? We do not have settings. This is as good as it gets. Dave? Why do we not have these sound effects? I want... Oh wait, is this bug still here? No, it's not. I thought I found a bug from like ages ago. Oh my god. I want this sound pack. Get Dave on this immediately. This is... I love the sounds of this. Oh my god. Block logic still works. Oh, this is like, okay, so the movement sound effects are a little clunky. But other than that, yeah, you do get the little... There is a little bit of clunkiness to the end, but yeah. This is sick. You do get the little, like, weird pre-buffer stuff going on occasion. I have noticed that. I can't really do it that fast either, because this is as fast as it goes for me. I may have to try and... I'm surprised it used to be 900. That's a slog. Because it doesn't go any faster after level 15. Oh, yep. Yeah, it does do that already. Dude, we should just have like one stream where we just go through all the different versions. Like, to see when things started showing up. That'd be kind of silly. But yeah, priority 1 is finding out why these sounds have not made a pack. I've just realized the levels going up every 60 levels, actually. I've only just noticed that. It's one level every 60 blocks as opposed to 30. Yeah, it's 60 blocks. my god, that buffer. See, when this bug... See, when this bug first showed up, when I spotted it, like, ages, like, years back, at least that was replicable to a degree. I don't even know why it's buffering, because I can't... Because it's not as if it's being pre-buffered in any way. It's not like it's being buffered, like, 10 years into the future. It's just... It's a weird one. Yeah, some kind of like classic minimal pack would be great, I feel. There'll be a way of... I mean, this is definitely made with the same compilers as the other versions. So this, you can definitely have an explore through the files, I feel. Actually, I don't think I need to go that far. I can just have a look in the game files and see what it says. Yeah, you can. There's a way of doing it. There's a GitHub that has the tools for it. It's not completely user friendly. It's a lot of command line work, but it does require a Steam login for paid games. But it is doable. I had to figure it out how to do it during my verification of the patch. You've got to hold it. It's so silly. So let's have a look at the game files. Open the files. Data. There is, in fact... Oh, that's not right. Wait, did it change back to... Oh, no, it didn't. The executable changed, but the audio hasn't. That is bizarre. I'm just having a look through the thing now. Last... Because all the audio, all the data is still the same. So unless it's in... No, it wouldn't be, right? There's audio... Oh no, maybe it's in music. No, music is just the same, right? Because it's just... Yeah, all of these are the same as before. The only thing that's changed seems to have changed the executable. And the... There's a .h folder which has that. Maybe it's in the data folder. That was compiled with that. So I can't look at the code, but I can have a look at the sounds. So the sounds are here. Yeah, all the sounds are available in here. In fact, can I extract all these sounds? Because these are the only sounds that I... unpackers. All sounds. Well, it's to a separate folder if you want to export. Yes. Yes. In the exported sounds folder. Okay. And in here, we should have, when it works. Yep, these are all the sound effects in that. Now, I have no knowledge of how to make sound packs. If anybody does, I can shoot the sounds over their way. It is, but yeah, that's a weird ass find. I'm honestly surprised that this was compiled with Yo-Yo Compiler. I'm curious as to when the change was made, because there's going to be like this weird gap between moddable game files and non-moddable. That is so weird. But yeah, that at least we found something. I'm gonna move this over to my music folder so it doesn't get lost. Well, that was a little bit of a weird tangent to end off. This was fun. I don't know why I stopped streaming, actually. I think it's just the effort, really, and the frustrations and the technical side of it. Oh, man. But no, this was fun. I'll upload some of the stuff to Twitch, not Twitch, Twitter. I'm not calling it X. At some point, when I can finalize a date for a tournament, we will do that, and we'll finalize some of the rules. And yeah, hopefully we can get some proper testing done at some point, and hopefully I'll be able to get that released to the public after that. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Oh damn! You have a dedicated rig for pump. Damn, is that? I'm assuming that's not original pump. I'm assuming that's one of the pump clones. But yeah, this is 720/30, and I think pretty sure that this could do 1080/30 comfortably, assuming it doesn't drop connection, which it did. But yeah, this has been fun. Maybe we'll do a stream, like I say, going through all the old versions and finding what other things. Yes, running legitimate games. This is a Fed-free zone. You're fine. But no, thanks for tuning in, guys. This has been fun. Like I say, we'll go for some old builds later on. Whole office Dell and a capture card. All you need for pump it up. Yeah. Absolutely. No, I totally buy it. Totally buy it. No. I will organize a stream at some point. Go for some old build. We can go for some old builds and see how find some more sound effects that never made it to a sound pack, and we can try and make that happen. But thanks anyway, guys. It was a pleasure. Keep an eye on Discord and Twitter, and yeah, hopefully we'll have something. No comment. I'm gonna head off. I'm gonna go to bed because it's 3:30 in the morning and I should probably get some sleep. I shall catch you guys later. Peace.